So you've probably heard the terms sanctioning and ratification and all these things, and are wondering, what does it mean? Why do we even need it? What's it all about? So we're going to have Evan talk to us about sanctioning here on things. You can bring up your own slides.
Okay. It does. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, for those of us that swim our whole life without recording anything, starting from the beginning, why would we want to start doing this? What's goal? I mean, like, why would I want to have recorded all the swims up there?
Okay. I have some answers for you. So, sanctioning. The story of sanctioning is really the story of the history of marathon swimming. So, and that maybe is a little more interesting. There have been books written on that, and so it's possible to swim and to have fun without sanctioning or without knowing anything about the history of the sport. But I think it's more fun to know something about the history of the sport and know the 140-plus year history in which we've been kind of swimming pretty much the same way, according to the same rules, with pretty similar swimwear. Addition of a few little technologies here and there, like GPS. But other than that, the things we do nowadays are pretty similar to what Captain Webb did back in 1875, and that's kind of cool. That's unique among most of the sports in the world. So, but sanctioning is why we're able to say, if you swim the English Channel, why you're the 23rd, 100th person to swim the English Channel. How are we able to say that? Or whether you're the 500th person to swim Catalina or the 50th person to swim Tahoe. We wouldn't be able to say that without sanctioning. Okay, so working definition here. Sanctioning organization is an organization that is recognized by the swim community as representing a body of water. So can our friend out here in the trimaran start a sanctioning organization?
He could.
He could, but would anyone care? No. It's not recognized. Nobody would pay attention to our friend out there. The organization advises swimmers who wish to swim in this body of water that it represents. And typically that means most of the people involved with the organization live near the body of water and have knowledge about it that most people don't have. The organization observes and ratifies swims in this body of water. It confirms that the swim happened, and that it happened in a certain way. And it maintains an authoritative history of such swims. So, the English Channel organizations, their job is a little harder. They have a lot of swims, and they have a history going back to 1875. So they got to keep track of a lot of data. Newer organizations actually have it much easier because they have fewer swims. They have to research and figure out how they happened and when they happened and how fast they happened. And if they stay around, they can continue recording that data. And after a few years, that's the only list that anyone pays attention to. So as the observer, just to motivate this training a little bit, you represent the sanction org. When you go out and you observe a Monterey Bay swim, you're the proxy, the representative of that organization. So why did it turn out this way? Sanctioning is kind of this funny idea. I was trying to think about it last night. Is there any other sport where we have this situation? Can't think of. I mean, they don't have it in mountaineering. There's not a sanctioning organization for Mount Everest, right? And a sanctioning organization isn't a race organizer, right? So the sanctioning organization isn't a sport governing body. It's not like FINA or the NBA or something. It's not an overall sport governing body. It's specific to a body of water. So why did it turn out this way? Go back to 1875. We have these two sporting events, we'll call them. better known as Captain Webb in 1875, August 1875, he was the first person to swim across the English Channel without artificial assistance. And on the left, have an American named Paul Boyden, a few months before Captain Webb. He was, actually I was reading this, he was, started the United States Life-Saving Foundation. He was a really accomplished lifeguard. He was not a swimmer. In this event that he did, you can see here, he's got a paddle, he's got this thing here, which is a vulcanized rubber suit that he developed. He was an inventor. And he was trying to promote this suit and demonstrate what you could do with this suit. It was actually a prototype of the modern wetsuit. But he did this thing. He went across the English Channel on this like bale of hay in this rubber suit with a paddle, which was, it's never been done before. It was awesome. It blew people's minds at the time. So we had these two things that happened in the same year, in the same body of water. In the end, Captain Webb became way more famous. That's because people thought that this was, this is a swimming achievement, and they decided to try to replicate his feat. It wasn't until 1911 that somebody did. So you see this; these are swims after Captain Webb, but before the founding of the Channel Swimming Association. You can see we have 12 swims after Captain Webb. And then we see in 1926, Trudy Ederle swam. There were 4 swims, let's see, 5 swims in 26 and 3 swims in 27. So we hear it's becoming a thing. The English Channel is becoming a thing that people care about. And then I mentioned Dorothy Logan here in 1927. She apparently she claimed to swim across the English Channel. She started from France and she came ashore in Dover. But there are these rumors that what happened when she was out there? Did she actually do this? And it turns out she got cold and tired, or whatever happens out there. And she got on the boat and took a nap. And then she decided, well, she decided to make a hoax out of it. And she came in, she swam into shore, and there were crowds of people waiting for her and celebrating her. And then it came out that she didn't actually do this like she was claiming, and she admitted it. And she said, I just wanted to do this to prove a point, that anybody can do this and claim whatever they want. And how do you know, right? And so she was casting a shadow of doubt on the entire sport, the nascent sport of American swimming. So that led to Channel Swimming Association. This guy, Alfred Jonas, I don't know how to pronounce his name, he was a big fan of Captain Webb. He wrote a letter, and it was actually before Dorothy Logan. So means are being discussed to prevent this fine achievement of swimming the channel from being ruined by artificial means and lack of investigation. I'm sure the sport of England and France is the accepted one. We have a couple issues here. There's the lack of investigation. There's the artificial means. Do people, are they able to wear rubber suits and float on bales of hay, or do they have to swim? And so in 1927, late 1927, the Channel Swimming Association was founded with the purpose of investigating and authenticating claims, assisting with information and advice, and furthering interest in channel swimming. So here we've added to the observing, authenticating, a more positive role, which is providing advice, local advice, and promoting the sport of marathon swimming. So the Channel Swimming Association led to basically the rest of the sport throughout these past 90 years. This year is 90 years of the Channel Swimming Association. So British Long Distance Swimming Association ratifies swims in the English and Scottish lakes, 1956. Irish Long Distance Swimming Association, North Channel, and other Irish swims. Cape Long Distance Swimming Association in Cape Town, the Robben Island swim is a pretty popular one. Solo Swims of Ontario for Lake Ontario. Catalina Channel Swimming Federation, this is a really important one, 1981. We're in California here. They've been very influential in setting standards, and many of the processes that you'll learn about today in observing swims derive from those guys. David Clark, especially, one of the founders. Hat tip to them. Manhattan Island Swimming Association started the first men's race in 1982. That led to NYC Swim in 1993. Rottnest Channel in Australia. A second English Channel organization in 1999. Interesting story there. We don't have to talk about it today. Gibraltar, 1999. Santa Barbara, 2006. Massachusetts, 12. Monterey Bay in 2015. Northwest Open Water for the Puget Sound and Strait of Juan de Fuca. And then again, a third Manhattan organization, although currently the only operating one, New York Open Water, 2016. But the story of this list here is that there's lots of bodies of water that still don't have sanctioning organizations, and that's fine. That's probably a good thing. I include the CCSF Catalina mission statement to compare to the language that we just saw a couple slides ago with the Channel Swimming Association. This is pretty similar. So ultimately everything comes from the CSA. Catalina kind of refined it in some ways. And that leads to expectations of modern section org. I come up with 5 here. And when I say expectations, I mean, well, if a section org is claiming a body of water, what do we expect of them in return? What service do they need to provide? First one, very important, is a clearly defined process for ratifying swims, and standards for ratifying swims, a set of rules. Can a swimmer go out without notifying the organization and do a swim, and then provide documentation? For most sanction orgs, the answer would be no. At least lots of bodies of water where you can do that. Sanction org provides observers who are independent, impartial, and trained. They know what they're doing, they've had experience, hopefully. They've gone through this course we're providing today. They provide history. So they provide the list. If you want to know who did swim with this body of water, this organization has done the research. They've provided the observers for the modern swims, and they are the source. They have local knowledge. They provide an added value. If you want to swim Monterey Bay, these are the guys you want to talk to. They know the most about it. They're going to be able to help you. That's a really tough swim, and you would be smart to go through that. Provide connections to boat pilots and kayakers, crew members. And last, it's a service organization. So the sanction organization doesn't exist to further the business of a pilot. Typically, the signs of that they're operating as a service organization, they're a 501c3 in the United States. All the sanction fees that they take in are either saved or paid out to observers, throwing banquets at the end of the year. Nobody's profiting off of the sanction organization. And if there are some situations where it's kind of ambiguous what's happening with the finances, and you're right to question that. The organization should be very transparent about how the money is being used. And if they're not doing that, then you don't have to respect them, in my opinion. So fulfilling these 5 expectations leads to legitimacy, respect in the community. And that leads to the issue of rogue swims. Sanction orgs, they're not able to enforce anything, except for the English Channel, where they have the sanction of the government. We only have implicit authority. We have the list. We maintain the list. If you want to be on the list, you've got to go through the sanction org. And then legitimacy. It's poor form to do rogue swims with sanction orgs that are doing a good job.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
So, is it, now that I'm here and I know about this, which I didn't know about this before, so it's not cool to go swim across Tahoe unless you, like I'm trying to figure out what rogue is, unless you check in with the sanction thing? Otherwise, you're being not cool.
If you just want to go have a fun swim, that's cool.
So
but if you're going to do the swim, you're going to do the length of the Tahoe or the width, and then you're going to claim, I did this, but you didn't go through the sanction already.
Yeah, like
when
if
everybody else did.
you're not looking for anybody to give you anything back or say anything about it, you just want to do it. It's not considered poor form.
Yeah, it's the public claims, you know, getting in the media and saying I did this, but you know, who observed you? But if you just want to go,
if you just want to
go have a fun swim, yeah,
form.
Go for it. The ocean is free. The lake is free.
And to clarify that, I mean, if you went next summer and you swam across Monterey Bay, and you invited the media, and you landed at San Carlos Beach, and said, I am now officially the 5th person to swim across the Monterey Bay. That would be wrong, probably, maybe, we don't know. That's the thing. You know, but it would definitely
for attention, they should go through this.
It would definitely be poor form. You should work with the local organization.
If you're looking for attention, this is the route to go, and follow the rules.
Or if you just want, you know, you trained. Anytime you've done a 20-mile swim, you probably trained hard for that. Yeah. I mean, 20 years down the road, you probably want to be on the list, right?
Well, what I like is that you probably add safety to it. Yeah. So that's what I like.
Safety is a big one. Yeah. Just a side note. For some swims where safety is like Farallons, Monterey Bay, Santa Barbara Channel, we've got sharks down there too. The safety claims make it a little bit more of a legal liability for us, so we tried. Yeah. For Santa Barbara, we don't really mention much about safety. If somebody gets, you know, eaten, it's not our fault. But I think in practice, the knowledge and experience of the observers does provide.
Just one last thing on that same topic. I mean, the way I look at it is it's a service to the swimmer. It's not that we're some sort of, you know, wow, we're all about enforcing rules and so forth, or that, you know, I don't like the term governing body. You know, it's confusing, but we're actually providing a service. Like you said, it has to be a service organization. We're there to make sure that it's verified, documented, that it's conducted as safely as possible, and then you get credit for what you've actually accomplished. If you decide that you want to wear fins and you want to do it, that's outside of the normal rules of that swim. But if you want to do that, we'll support you and document what you did. It would just be in a different category. So it's, you know, we're there to support you in how you want to do it. Make sure that the historical records are accurate, that you get credit for what you did, and that it's conducted as safely as possible. And we can provide all, you know, any other types of services to make your experience safer and more, you know, better chance of success as well. So.
Right.
I would add this, and that is that I think that if you're going to do a swim like this on a body of water, the different organizations, they have assembled tremendous amounts of resources and organized information. So if you do avail yourself of that information, you're beginning to hopefully have a sense of responsibility to the people that spent dozens and hundreds of voluntary hours to put this together. So I will say the water is free, for sure, but if you start getting use out of what these volunteer organizations put together, just consider that as you.
Okay, I'm all done. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think I just have.
Okay.
Is that my slides?
Okay. I'll put it back to Scott.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to segue into it.
So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to talk briefly about two things. Just kind of the sanctioning up in Northern California, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Marathon Swimmers Federation and what they brought to the sanctioning table. So, you know, there's a lot of shared DNA between Catalina Channel, Santa Barbara Channel, and Monterey Bay. We've kind of used each other's material. I probably started at Catalina, then Santa Barbara, and then Monterey Bay. So there's a lot of similarity, and that's leading into the Lake Tahoe Marathon Swim Federation. Down south, those two organizations are pretty mature. You know, they've been around for years, solid board of directors, financially sound, 501c3s, very well established process. Up here, Monterey Bay Swim Association, a lot younger, founded in 2014. And in fact, and this is really interesting to note that I'm going to come back to, the first two modern swims were not ratified by the Monterey Bay Swimmers Association, ratified by Marathon Swimmers Federation. So that's very interesting. I'll come back to that. But then retroactively, as MBSA started walking and not crawling, they then ratified those or kind of recognized them. And then a swim with the MBSA recognized in the long distance, long swims database. Lake Tahoe Marathon Swim Federation. I'll say a few words about that, and then maybe Tom would like to add something, but here's my synopsis of it. Services swimmers in Lake Tahoe, and you know, that list of organizations that Evan put up, you know, those organizations exist, but we're witnessing an organization in the birthing process right now, the last couple of years. And this is the main reason that we're here today. Is the underlying reason is to focus on Northern California, but specifically the needs of Lake Tahoe. So I would say, like, between 1955 and 2011, you know, very spotty records. There happened to be this selfless guy named Dean Moser who had a swimmer friend that posted a really good time in Tahoe, and he decided to assemble the records from 1955 to 2011, and that's the basis of what we have today. And then between 2012 and 2014, there was this organization called the Lake Tahoe Swim Society, and they piloted several swims. They left no records. They're like the Anasazi, right? No records. We think they were there, but there's no evidence. So I actually personally reconstructed those records through investigative research. 2013, thereabouts, Tom, you'll in a minute clarify if I get something wrong, but Tom Linthicum became very active in escorting swimmers across Lake Tahoe. He developed his own love affair with it over the previous 10 years, I think. But we started seeing action from Ghost Rider and Tom 2013, and it's just continually increased. There was a clear void that was forming because of the lack of ratification process or interest in paperwork from the Lake Tahoe Swim Society. And Tom stepped into that void and kept people that were interested in swimming having a way to do that. And we've seen tremendous effort from Tom, really, during this period of time, and it's moved forward largely because of his efforts. So then from 2014 to 2016, I've reviewed all the records, and at this period of time, there's still no firm organization, and I reviewed all the notes and records I could find. You know, I talked to various people, and I saw things like this one was conducted according to EC rules, or it was conducted as a traditional non-assisted swim. So, you know, you can't go back and have people do it right, but you can certainly take all the scraps of paper and make do phone interviews. I did all that, and so those records resulted in us having a good history. And I'd note that many of those swims between 2014 and 2016 said conducted according to the MSF rules. Right? So there we see them again. They're doing something important. Then in 2017, swim year 2017, the LTMSF developed a formally stated set of rules in an observer log. So now there are observer logs as of swim year 2017 that state, I observed this swim according to the LTMSF rules and hold it to be held according to those swim according to those rules. So that's my synopsis of it. You want to add anything, Tom?
Yeah, that's, Dave's done a good job getting all the records together. There's still kind of a work in progress. There's still some evidence. It's hard to pull teeth get some people's help, and and they'll be on there. At least a couple of the fields I can think of that need to be added to the history. You need to have an accurate history, but now, of course, having these documents and having it as an observer, and we've just been bringing people along wherever we can to observe it. So now we want to make it more formal, and that's why you're all here. So we can say, you guys are all trained up, and you want to do a big phone call. And so far it's been very informal as far as how compensation, or just $100 for travel expense, whatever, or maybe more, maybe a couple $100. So it's very informal on how it is. So eventually, the association will collect your fee, and they'll distribute it just like the other associations. They'll get all the speed, so all that stuff will come together. Like I said, so it's kind of a maturing process. It's been, it's been a lot of work on everybody's part, and the people that have, piloted and crewed and observed on many swims have helped to make this happen. So we're getting close and neater about, look, what was that exact time? Hour, minute, second. Dave's really good about that. Hour, minute, second. That's the one thing. If you screw up in the middle of the swim, like you miss feeding or something, okay. But don't miss the hour, minute, second we start, and the hour, minute, second we finish. Don't miss that one fact. I usually try to record it as a backup. The observer should have those 3 numbers there. So, and it's just great, because going to the future, we have it. In the past, we don't have it.
So I'll just continue through here. I'm going to move quicker because I'm conscious of the time. Yeah, okay. So up here, SWIM's no sanctioning organization, like the beautiful round-trip Angel Island. Who sanctions that? MSF does. Maybe one day there will be an Angel Island swim federation. Or maybe there will be some super organization that enfolds all of Northern California. But in the meantime, look to MSF for any swim that doesn't have an organization. So a few words about the MSF sanctioned swims. I'm such a huge fan of this because they represent a fundamentally new paradigm for how you sanction swims. Human swimmers cluster to certain routes. They just do it because everybody does. The first question I get asked is, have you done the English Channel? People don't know. But all said and done, maybe there's 24 robust organizations that sanction, but how many routes are there on the planet? There's millions or billions or trillions, right? So there's a gap there. What MSF did is they filled that gap. They developed some assets, which I would call swim logs, formally stated rules, and defined procedure that empower anyone that follows those rules to gather evidence documenting a swim that has no governing organization, and then submit that to a group of qualified people who will review and ratify that and say this swim took place. So they're not associated with any particular geography. That's huge news in the sport of marathon swimming. So here are the scenarios that MSF will ratify a swim. They'll authenticate swims in a body of water that may one day be serviced by a robust organization, Monterey Bay, Lake Tahoe. They could also authenticate one-off swims that somebody decides to do something and they want it to be acknowledged. They also authenticate swims if an organization is underperforming or becomes dysfunctional, like Tahoe Swim Society. And then they also could provide ratification if an organization, which can happen, it gets a little biased or has flawed or non-transparent process. Okay? So I just want to really call out that MSF is what's moving us forward into a new place where anybody can do an off-the-grid swim, and that it will be recognized. And they're like the vehicle by which off-the-grid swims can move into a robust organization. So that's all I have for right now.
Yeah, just to recap on, just make a note on that. So you mentioned that this first one was in Monterey Bay. We're done through MSF, and that's exactly right. Because when we started getting together to talk about founding Monterey Bay Swim Association, we knew that we didn't meet those 5 requirements to be a service organization. And although we could go out there and document, and most of us had already been observing in Catalina Channel and Santa Barbara and Farallones and other swims, we knew that as an organization we weren't there yet. So with Patty Swim and Gold, they made sure that it was properly documented, had an independent observer, and kind of followed all the same guidelines of MSF, and they submitted that to Evan. And we did the same thing for Kim Swim. And then it was a transition, and we eventually got up to speed, got our 501(c), got our insurance. And once we had those 5 kind of check marks in place, and we actually knew that we could add value to the swimmers, then we kind of opened it up for business and said, we're here, we're now available to observe and ratify swims as well as provide all other kinds of service. So there's an evolution of becoming a sanctioned organization, and we're thankful to have MSF before that, and then everything we do now still aligns to all the same standards.